nothing can come, nothing can come.
Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In case you're new here, my name is Kim. This is Core Union. Today, I actually want to talk about a few things. I'm going to affirm that this video is going to inspire you guys. It's going to bring you up a whole new level of understanding, really understanding the whole idea of taking action and also your reactions. So these are all the things that I want to talk about. So I'm just going to kind of put it all in a nutshell in this video. Before I get into this, please do like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel if you love my content. If you want me to be your coach, email me a short description of what's going on to kim@coreunion.com, and I will reply back to you with my next available after you book your session with me on my website, coreunion.com. You can do a 30-minute or a package. I keep things super, super, super simple. All right, so let me talk about this. I got an email from another client. He saw me once, I don't know how many months ago, and he was super excited. When we talk about him with his specific person, I will refer to her as his wife because in the end, they are married and they're happy together. So he is really super focused and disciplined on that story. He was thinking, how would we ever even end up seeing each other? Anyway, he continued to do the inner work, and out of nowhere, somebody literally gifted him a plane ticket and tickets to an event in the state where the specific person lives. So there's a bridge of incidents. Friend was inspired to give him the tickets. So now he's thinking, and he's just feeling and knowing that he is going to see her. He gets there and he says that he's walking around and he keeps seeing her, but it wasn't actually her, but he kept seeing her and he knew for a fact, just like my client that we talked about last week's video, that after a year, she gave us the year summary of her amazing movement and the unfolding of her being in the relationship with her specific person. He knew for a fact he was going to see her and be next to her. And so even though he kept seeing glimpses of her and it wasn't actually her, as he walked around the corner, he's at the event, all of a sudden, there she is. There she is. They end up meeting and talking for about 20 minutes. It was a wonderful conversation. And then he said he had to kind of turn his head a little bit. He kind of had to turn away because he feels like he saw something that may have been related to a 3P. He ended up kind of letting himself cry later on and getting that out of his system. But anyway, he's here and he's now. And she sat with him the entire time. And it was just a wonderful, wonderful experience, a wonderful manifestation for him. And so he will continue to persist until he's actually in the marriage. He won't stop persisting. And I highly recommend this with you guys too. When you guys are doing the work and you're persisting, then when you start to get movement, you start to get lazy a little bit. Or when you're actually back in the relationship, you think you've got it, it's done, but it's not fully solidified yet. And you continue to do the inner work and persist until you're actually living in the life that you want to be living with, however that looks for you with your specific person. Please don't get caught up in that this is going to be how it unfolds with you. This is just a perfect example of listening to inspired action. Also, you don't want to get obsessive about, is this inspired action? Is this inspired action? Am I going to go here and see them? Are they going to be here? Because then it's no longer inspired action because you're just again, you're constantly obsessing on not having, okay? You're just living your life and you're happy and you're not buying into old versions of you, old versions of the story anymore. And you're prioritizing yourself. You're prioritizing your needs. You're loving yourself. You're really valuing and loving your life. And while you're doing that, you're just kind of listening to your soul and you're living your life and you're urged to do this, to do that, to listen to this, to do this, go here, go there. All of that is inspired action. But now let's talk a little bit about taking action that's not inspired. And it's important that you guys get this because now this also has to do with reactions and assigning meaning to things. If you are just starting out and you're like, well, when can I call my person? You can call your person anytime. You can literally call your person right now today, and you can profess all of your undying love. You can reach out to them. You can text them. You can go visit them. You can do whatever you want. But what more than likely will happen if you still have whatever your stories are, that basically were of your core wounds, that was your baggage, which you brought into the relationship and projected on to your person, and they reflected back to you. If you haven't actually let go and released, erased and replaced basically with a new story, seeing yourself, seeing the different version of yourself and seeing the different version of your person equally. You don't want to just work on yourself and not work on how you're seeing your person. Bring your person up in your eyes and see the highest and best in them, and let go of the old story and write the new story and see them as strong, see them as trusting, see them as loving, see them as committed, as expressive, affectionate, safe, kind, nurturing, whatever, however it is that you want to see the relationship with you guys. If you only do the work on yourself and you kind of leave your leave your SP, so to speak, in the dust, and you just keep ruminating on the old story, you're doing all the work on yourself, but you keep seeing the worst in them, and you keep triggering yourself because you keep like looking at the old story, reminding yourself of the old story, you keep ruminating on the old story, you keep, maybe you're even looking at old text messages and old arguments, and when those things do come up, you don't catch yourself. What's going to happen is you're most likely going to end up getting triggered because the old story has not been, like, that wasn't healed over, so to speak. You're going to keep hitting a wall. You're going to keep hurting yourself. You're going to keep experiencing over and over again the things that you don't want. It's much better to stay in your imagination. And when things do come up, if you do react to something, if you do reach out, then you just kind of assign whatever meaning that you want to it. But you can take action. It's just, what are you ready to be able to handle if the old story shows up again? If then the old story shows up again, what meaning will you assign to that? Because everything is all about the meaning that you assign to things. You know, for me, it would be if the old story shows up again, for me, I would assign the meaning. When it comes to me and my mirror soul, Hannah, I would assign the meaning. Okay, this is, we're getting better and we're getting stronger. We are healing, and this is contributing somehow, some way to our life together. And I would stay in that. And then I wouldn't ruminate on the old story, and I would live my life being happy. And I would intentionally stay in the end, and I would be loving my life, and I would be doing things that I enjoy, and I would be thinking the highest and best for Hannah, and knowing that everything is contributing and God is working in our favor. I would not ruminate and allow myself to ruminate and trigger myself on thinking of old stories or the things that happened that I didn't like. Memories, everything, I would wipe clean every single morning when I wake up and step into the consciousness of being the wife, being happy, being secure. Okay, so I've talked about inspired action, that you can take it, but it's not really inspired action if you're intentionally trying to manipulate a situation. If you just want to take action, could it be inspired? Yeah, but it might be inspired from your ego and from your fear wound trying to get. And if it is, it's most likely going to turn into something that is going to trigger you worse. So I would avoid doing it. Always realize that you're always going to have a compulsion to act either from ego or unconditional love. If something is unconditional love, meaning that unconditional love of knowing also your power, and that you're creating everything, and everything is a mirror of your old fears, worries, and doubts. If you take action from a confident place, and it's truly inspired and it's authentic, and you're not looking to get anything in return, you just you need to say something, then go ahead and take the inspired action. Go ahead. It doesn't matter. It's good. So now I want to talk about reactions, and what the most important thing to understand is when it comes to reacting versus responding. I had somebody comment on a video recently. He asked something along the lines of, okay, what happens if something negative happens in my 3D and I react very well, like externally, I'm like staying calm, but internally, basically, I'm going crazy. That is worse than if in the 3D you reacted poorly, but inside you caught yourself pretty quickly afterwards later on, and you got back in your end, and you knew that this doesn't matter, and you knew that all is forgiven, and that we're good, and this is all just part of everything contributing to us. Don't think that, okay, I'm going to see if I'm going to do whatever in the 3D with my specific person, And if things come up, I'm just going to say, okay, yep, that's fine. And you're going to like, oh, I didn't react though. I stayed super positive, but inside you were tormented. Inside it was killing you. Inside later on that night, you're like, you're not catching yourself. You're not soothing yourself. You're not loving yourself. You're not letting go of the old story, and you're not living from the end. You're not being the version of you, and you're not seeing the version of them in your mind and in your heart. It's always going to be better to, if you react, to forgive your person if they provoked you, forgive yourself if you reacted, remind yourself of your end, to assign a good meaning, good positive meaning to this, and then to go back and be in your faith and trust. It's better actually to have an external reaction and to like reduce your internal emotional reaction to it. So in other words, get back in alignment with your end as soon as possible, but you don't rush yourself. You literally take the time that you need, and don't worry if it's like hours, if it's like a day, if it's a few days, if it's even a week, if you're still kind of triggered. The thing that you want to do in that time is not continue to trigger yourself by ruminating on the old story, by checking the social media, by talking about it with people, by venting about it with people, by commenting under videos, by going into some Reddit group and looking up old stories, seeking advice, looking for attention. All of that stuff is you being actually the version of yourself who is in a victim state. What you're doing is you're deepening the old story, and you're further identifying with the version of you that you are letting go of, that you're growing out of, that you have evolved past. Okay. So anyway, I hope that this video helped with just giving you guys like some inspiration on talking about the bridge of incidents and inspired action, understanding the difference between how to assign meaning to things when they do come up, inspired action versus manipulative action, and then finally understanding that it's more important of what your internal reaction or response is, more important than what your external reaction or response is. Okay, please do affirm below that you know that your end exists and that you are in complete trust and faith. If you need me, reach out. I will talk to you soon. I love you. Bye.
Nothing can come, nothing can come, nothing can come between us.